So last week we covered scripting, and there are three other categories of scripts that you can create in T-SQL, and they are stored procedures, user-defined functions, and triggers. And we are going to be covering all three today. They are all part of Chapter 15. So Chapter 15 has a lot of information in it. And I think it would be easiest if you did the stored procedures and the functions in one sitting, and then waited, gave yourself a break, and then went on and did the triggers, because it's an awful lot to go through without taking any kind of break at all. So you need to read through the chapter, and then you're going to go through the lecture demo. And at the top, I basically talk about the similarities and differences between the stored procedures, user-defined functions, and triggers. And basically, stored procedures, user-defined functions, and triggers, they're all things that are created typically by a database administrator. Stored procedures are for end users to run. They make the database more secure because instead of interacting directly with the tables, the user simply runs the script. And they may have to provide parameters, but they basically run the script and they aren't interacting directly with any of the tables. User-defined functions are very similar to the built-in functions that we did a couple weeks ago. You can provide parameters, and user-defined functions always return at least one value. Stored procedures, you can also provide input parameters, and they may or may not return output data. User-defined functions always return output data. Okay, so that's kind of the difference between them. Triggers are something that are a little tricky to set up, but once you set it up, it's really cool because it automatically runs. So when an event occurs, like you delete a customer row, if you have a trigger set up, you can have all of that data added to an archive table automatically. Or let's say you add order data and you input quantity. If you have the product and the price of the item, you can set up a trigger to automatically multiply the quantity times the price and give you a total. So triggers are really cool and they can be used in a variety of ways. So you are going to learn how to create delete triggers, insert or input triggers, and update triggers. With stored procedures, user-defined functions, and triggers, they are all stored as database objects. So they are stored in the database itself, just like tables are stored and views are stored. So basically the lecture demo goes through each one and gives you a lot of examples. So there's tons and tons of examples here for you to look through to help you better understand what the procedures, user-defined functions, and triggers do. And anything that uses databases that you have access to, you certainly can copy and paste and run on your own system. It is important that you go through and that you understand what each does and that you understand the examples. Because when you get to the lab assignment, you are going to be creating your own. But prior to the lab assignment, you are going to work on the textbook assignment, which is split into 3 tasks. one for stored procedures, one for UDFs, which are user-defined functions, and one for triggers. And there are videos for each one, but this is going to teach you how to create the different types of stored procedures. You'll learn how to do scalar and table user-defined functions, and you will learn how to create the various types of triggers. Once you're done with this, you will work on the lab assignment, which is the last part of your final project. So once you finish this lab assignment, you are done with the final project. The lab assignment does have you create the 4 different types of stored procedures. You have to do the 2 different types of user-defined functions, and you have to do the 3 different types of triggers. And if you need help for ideas, go back to the lecture demo, go back to the textbook assignment, and look and see how those stored procedures, user-defined functions, and triggers were created. Okay, then you can look for something that's similar in your final project and basically do the same thing. And that would be my helpful hint. I also did give you a little script for the Sugar Baker database, kind of showing you how I created the stored procedures, UDFs, and triggers for that particular database. So that is what you need to get done this week. And as I mentioned, at this point, once you submit this Chapter 15 lab assignment, you're done with the final project. The only thing that you will have left to do is complete the showcase, which you're going to be adding slides to. If there is anything that you are fuzzy about, that you're not sure of, I did include lots of resources down here. There's videos on the stored procedures, on functions, views, and triggers. This video covers when to use each one. There is interactive exercises, all sorts of resources for you to take advantage of. If you have problems or if you have questions, please let me know and have a great week.